Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Tweeters Tech. Now it's been a while since I've done a review on a mobile phone, and we're looking at the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. This is the 5G version by Samsung. As mentioned before, the last time I did a review on a phone was probably the Note 7, and we all know what happened to those phones. It didn't end well. But I stuck with Samsung, and I've had a few Galaxy devices and stuck with the Note line particularly. It's always been a phone that I've kind of steered towards because it's aimed at power users. I think in the climate that we're at the moment, a lot of the phone manufacturers are kind of following that direction. So the competition has got hard, and it's hard for Samsung to stick out as much as there's a lot of competition out there. But I've stuck with the Note device, and the one I've got here is the Aura Black variant. A lot of people have looked at the Aura Glow. Me personally, I didn't like it. I thought it was a bit tacky. It was just like a cheap mirror, basically. But in the right light, I can imagine why people would like it. But the reality is, most of us are going to put cases on these phones, and as you can see, they're all fingerprint magnets. Unless you've got the white one, which doesn't seem to show off fingerprints as much. But I pretty much stick with black colours most of the time. I tend to put plain colour cases on there as well. But this version here particularly comes with 512 gigabytes of storage, 12 gigs of RAM. Sorry. The screen size is 6.8, and it comes with a quad HD plus screen. I believe it's a pixel per inch count of 401. So it's a HDR10 screen with 1200 nits on the brightness as well. The processor, whether you come from the UK or the US, you're either going to get the 855 Snapdragon processor or the Exynos 9825, which is more common in the UK. This particular device is IP68 in water and dustproof rating. Comes with fast wireless charging 2.0. The charger that you get in the box is, I believe, 25 watts. I believe if you charge the phone turned off from empty to full, it takes 1 hour. I've tested it a few times and it does come close. It is 45 watts ready as well, but that doesn't come in a box. But I don't really think it's necessary. 25 watts is quick enough with an hour charge time, and that's really quick, I think. It does come with a ultrasonic fingerprint sensor, which is a bit different to what we've had in the past. I think they got rid of the the headphone jack. That's gone. We've got rid of the heart rate scanner, and we've also got rid of the iris scanner. This has got a Face ID, I believe, but it's not very secure. I kind of stick with the fingerprint sensor, albeit you don't really know what it is. If you're tapping on the screen, if you've got always on display, you can see where it is, but it would be nice to do it straight away. But it's kind of a guessing game. It's worked there, but I think that's more of a practice thing, really. On the back, we've got the triple camera setup. Apologies, it's 4 sensors. The addition is the time of flight sensor. The other cameras that we've got involved. On the back, we're going to have a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor. We've got a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, a 12 megapixel telephoto lens, and the time of flight sensor, which is also known as the depth vision sensor. With a look on the front, we have one selfie camera at the top, which is fairly hidden, little circle there. But it does come with the wide angle lens as well, and it also gives you the option to use live focus video, which is available on both front and back camera sensors. On a closer inspection of the phone, we can see most of the buttons, or all the buttons, are on the left. We've got the home button, which also the Bixby button, but you can remap that to make that whatever you want. The volume rocker, and we've got nothing on the right whatsoever. So the power button is moved from the right to the left. Some people have struggled with that, but I don't really have an issue. I mentioned before the headphone jack is no longer there, but it's not an issue for me because all I really wanted was a pair of wired headphones. Whether it was 3mm jack or USB, it didn't matter to me. So you get these ones anyway with the USB port. That's all I really care about. The headphone jack is important to some people, but it's not essential for me. Obviously, the key thing that defines this between this and the Galaxy devices is the S Pen, and we'll have a look at some of those features very shortly. But the screen, it's gorgeous. I obviously had a Note 9 prior to this, and I would have liked to compare them. The actual size of the phone is pretty much the same, although there's some upgrades in terms of the specs, screen resolution, etc. Battery time I found to be only a little bit better than a Note 9. A Note 9 was a powerhouse in terms of battery consumption, and it has got a slight improvement, but it's not a huge improvement. But that's bearing in mind if I have the screen resolution to the absolute max or 4K resolution. If you have it on a default one, which is I believe 1080p, you will find that you'll be saving a lot more battery. But if you buy a phone like this, you want to use it to its full potential. So why would you want to do that? Now, there are so many features to go through this phone. I'm not going to go through every single one of them. If you're familiar with Galaxy devices, a lot of the features will be similar, and there are some additional ones. But just to recap so far, the ones that we're familiar with, we've got One UI topped in with Android 9, which is Android Pie. The One UI I tend to keep on dark mode, and if you toggle along to the settings screen, you can click that, and it's a nicer, darker sort of finish. It doesn't use up as much battery, and it just looks tidier, I believe. You've got the Edge display, which you can adjust here. I've got my favourite apps on one tab. I'll scroll along. I've got my favourite contacts and some of the S Pen features, which I haven't really used yet. I've just put that there because it looks kind of useful. But the S Pen itself hasn't got used as much as I would have liked to. The novelty's there. It is exciting. But I find myself using it less and less, which I'm kind of frustrated about because I do enjoy using this, and I'm going to visit some apps that do work well with the S Pen, and let's have a quick look at what that comes with. So if we turn the screen off, we had this thing where you could make these notes with the display off. I can't remember what it was called, but when the phone is off or on standby, obviously you can make a notes, make a little swiggle, you can save the details, add numbers to your contacts, or pin it to your always on display, so you can share any information you make notes of. But the thing I like on this new variant is basically you can change the colour of the note making, because it used to be the same colour as the pen that you got. So if I had a white pen, I'd only be able to write in white. But now I've got a black pen, and I can change the colour of my notes. And it may seem not that important, but I do find it quite handy. And, you know, it just looks pretty cool. Obviously, you can save that. If you're doing a shopping list, save it, come back to it later. And I'll show you where those notes go to. So if you look at the pen here, we've got a button on the side. All you need to do, press that button on the screen, and you come up with the options of all the apps that you can do. So we've got view all notes. This will show me a list of all the notes that I've made so far. Click on that again. You can create a note, which is just a similar version to what we did on the phone just now. And you can save that text, extract text, save it as an image, whatever you want to do with the notes. It's pretty good. There's quite a few options. Smart select, that would be taking like a cropped image. So if I take this, I can then share it, add it to my clipboard, and use it for something else. I haven't used it, but it's quite handy. I think I need to play around with it a bit more. Screen write, everyone's got screen write. Takes an instant screenshot of what you're doing, and you can edit that picture, customize it, and send it off to whatever you want to do. We'll discard that for now. Let's see what else we've got. Live messages. This is kind of like a GIF maker, or just something if you want to send custom messages to people. I'll give you an idea how this works. So I'll go for a black background. We'll start drawing. Let's see. So we have a choice of pens. Let's try this one out. We'll change the colour to green. You can see it's got quite unusual effect. And what I can do is if I press play, that will basically put it into a GIF format. I think it gives you a certain amount of time or a certain amount of writing you can do, like maybe up to 10 seconds or whatever, and then it automatically turns it into a GIF. I can share that as a message. Let's give us an idea of what else we can do. We'll change the pen. Got this effect as well. Can't really read that, but yeah, it looks kind of cool. Let's see what else we've got. There's another pen. There's so many different options we can change. So it gives you an idea, all the different features and all the different animations you can add on to these kind of sort of live messages, and they're just a fun thing to do. I don't use them that often, but if you're feeling a bit creative, then it's something to try. Another option is Air Doodle. This is a new feature It's quite funny, you know, kids will enjoy it. It's something that you'll use for a while, but I don't know how often you'll really get to use it. So you have the option to focus on your face or just whatever's in the surrounding area. Now I've clicked on everywhere, put something in front of this camera lens. Let's say, for instance, I could do like a little drawing around it. My drawing's terrible, sorry. But if I move the camera lens and then focus back on the object, you can see whatever I've Googled, or doodled, sorry, is on there. So let's see if we can do something different. You can move the camera around. It kind of gives like an immersive, three-dimensional feel to it, really. If I move it around, you can see it from that angle. Sorry about the restriction here, but it's just a fun little doodle thing, really. It's just something to goof around with, but I haven't really explored it fully. Now I've got a few different apps on here. PenUp is basically like a colouring app, digital colouring. You can freestyle colour, or you can just, you know, do the lazy colouring where you just dab in and it automatically colours it in. It's quite a relaxing app to have, and especially with the kids around, it's quite a lot of fun. Drastic is an app that's basically a Nintendo DS emulator. Works really well with the S Pen. I haven't downloaded the ROMs because I just not updated from my Note 9, but I fully recommend Drastic on the Play Store. If you like playing Nintendo DS games with the stylist, this comes in really handy. So another reason why I bought this phone is because of the camera. I was really excited about the Galaxy 10 Plus camera, and I just wanted a bit more of an upgrade. Obviously it comes with a time of flight sensor, but I was more than impressed with that camera. I know there's cameras out there that are slightly better, but I wanted that camera in particular. So let's have a look as to what we get. If you're familiar with the S10 lineup, there's not going to be a whole lot different apart from the time of flight sensor. And you can see I put it on the option where it basically uses up the whole screen, and this gives you an idea as to how much screen you're actually getting on this phone. It's like near bezel-less, except for the you know, the little what do you call it, hole punch, notch, whatever you want to call it, teardrops. Always different features you can have. Everyone's got their own way of hiding or taking up as much screen as possible, but this dot doesn't really seem that intrusive. Obviously it sticks out like a sore thumb right now, but when you're watching media it's not so bad. So with the three lenses that we've got, I believe this is the wide angle lens. Then let's see, is this one the telephoto lens? And then we've got the ultra wide lens, and it gives you an idea as to what you can really play with. You know, it takes up a lot and it picks up a lot in that camera lens, so it's quite handy having all three lenses, and you can alternate between these lenses when you're recording as well. When you look at the selfie camera lens, we've only got one lens, but it gives you the option to take wide angle as well, which is really helpful with selfies as well. I think the only additional feature they've had with this is the live focus. Now it won't really work really well in the conditions I'm in at the moment because I've got a dodgy angle, but you can see you have the option to blur out with several effects, and I'll cycle through a few of those, and they're all varied, but one of the ones I really enjoy, let's see, I think it might be on the rare one. Yeah, I think it's on the other one. So we'll go to the rear lens. Actually, tell a lie. Live focus. Oh, my apologies. It's live focus video, isn't it? There we go. So we've got this. I don't know if you can tell. Got this 80s retro VHS look, which is quite cool. I'm sure there's social media apps out that support this filter, but having it on your phone is quite nice. All these different filters, sort of blurred out focus modes, it's quite nice to have, especially if you're vlogging. It's just quite a handy feature to have. So like I said, there's so many features on this phone. I could go through so much, but I don't want to take up too much time. I've had the phone for a month. You know, this is someone that's predominantly used Samsung phones for the last 10 years. I started off with, I think it was a Samsung Nexus device, and then I kind of went towards the Note devices. I had a Note Edge. I've had all the Notes except for the Note 5 that never came to the UK, and I've enjoyed using them because they were aimed at power users. I'm a power user. I use my phone heavily throughout the day, and if I give you an idea in terms of battery consumption, I tend to turn my phone on 7:30 in the morning. I'll use it heavily, and that's a variety of playing video games, social media, messaging, YouTube, everything. And by the time I get home from work after the gym, which is going to be about 8:30, my battery will be at 45%, and that's good because all we really need is the battery to last all day. On the days where we're commuting, it's nice to have, your fast charger, because I do take this to work with me, and if I do need to top up and I'm preempting that I'm going to be out longer than usual, it's nice to just top it up and have an extra 20%, because in literally 5 minutes you could have like 20% added on top of your battery. So it's really helpful having that around. But at night time, I don't need that urgency to charge it fast. I tend to turn my phone off and use a wireless charger, so I don't have that urgency. It's just there when I need it. In terms of protection, as you can see, like I've got fingerprints all over the place. I have bought one case. Actually, I bought two. I started off with the official Samsung fake white leather one, because I wanted to go with the black and white contrast, and I thought I'd get this because it looked quite elegant. But if I'm honest, let's get this on. Sorry, I'm struggling. I'm not sure. I'm not really feeling it. Some people might like that, but I feel like I should be driving a white Range Rover, and I don't drive a white Range Rover. I don't drive a Range Rover at all, but it just feels like you need to look like dress a certain way to have a case like this. I just don't have the guts to pull it off. It feels nice, and some people would like it, but I'm just not feeling it, so I'm going to sell that. However, I tend to stick with simple case designs. I'll show you what I did get. The new hybrid case from Tozo. It's kind of like a matte black finish, and I love matte black on pretty much anything. It's pretty boring, like if you've got a black phone already, why would you just want to get a black case? But I'm pretty simple. But I like this kind of misty, rubberized finish. We have a close up there. It's got two different black textures. I'll give you an idea what this looks like. I'll get this on a lot quicker than the last case. And the grip is so nice. It's just got this soft rubbery texture, and I tend to steer towards cases like this. Maybe when I get a bit braver I might get a different colour case, but for now this is a great all-rounder. It's slim. It's probably not the best protection you can get, but I fully recommend it for a slimline case. So that is a Tozo. Try that one on Samsung or Amazon actually. I think I paid £20 for this. But yeah, I'll put the link in Amazon so you can have a look at that case, see if you want to order that. So after a month of using the phone, I am happy with it. I'm not bothered about the headphone jack. I've got wired headphones that came with it. The power button moving to the side hasn't bothered me. Loving using the camera. I feel like I haven't used it to its true potential, as well as the S Pen. I thought I'd been using that a lot more often than I planned to, but maybe I just haven't given it time. Just not had the time to do that yet. It's not something you need, but it's nice to have. The battery is good enough. It could be better, but it will suffice. You just need it for a day. The processing, the screen resolution, everything is beautiful, everything is smooth, there's no lag, and you'd expect that with the price that you're paying for this phone. I spent over £1,000 on this model. They're not cheap, and Samsung phones do tend to devalue quite quickly, especially when you compare them to iPhones. So, do I recommend the phone? Yes, but bearing in mind what you have already. Now, if you've got a Galaxy S10 model, I don't really see it worthwhile upgrading to a Note 10 Plus. Even forget the Note 10. The Note 10 I don't believe is a worthwhile phone getting, to be honest. It's a waste of money. It's just, there's no point in it, because a lot of the Galaxy phones are just as good but cheaper. But this phone, if you've got let's say an S9 or something that's over a year old, maybe one of the Pixel phones, or maybe if you're looking to jump ship from iOS onto Samsung, I do recommend it. However, if you've got something as new as a Galaxy 10 or a Galaxy S10 Plus, then I would reconsider it, because you're not getting that much more than what you've got already. However, I had a Note 9 and I still considered it a worthwhile upgrade, whereas some people will actually stick with the Note 9 because of the headphone jack. But I'm going to play around with the phone a bit more. I'm going to do some videos for some of the features that I haven't had a chance to explore yet. In the meantime, I appreciate you tuning in. Stay tuned to the next episode of Tweefers Tech. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.